Hi, I'm Spencer Krause. I've been building robots for over 20 years. In that time, I've seen a lot of interesting things, and I've heard a lot of interesting stories. Collaborative with Spencer Krause is a place where my colleagues and I can relax, crack a drink, and talk about some of the crazier things we've seen at work and some of the experiences we've had that have gotten us to where we are today. Subscribe today to join the collaboration. Welcome to the Collaborative Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Krause. Our guest today is Dr. Matthew Alberts. Matt is the leader of innovation at Southern Company. Matt, welcome to the pod.
Thanks, Spencer. I appreciate you bringing me up to Pittsburgh for this. I look forward to it. It's going to be a great conversation we're going to have today.
Appreciate you being here. It's really exciting. Huge fan of your work. Really enjoy you as a person. I'm glad we're really doing it.
Hey, we have a budding friendship here, I feel like. This is going to be more than just associates. We're going to be budding friendship for a long time, I feel.
Amen, brother. Amen. So first of all, thank you for the copy of your book, The Gen AI Manufacturing Revolution. Really appreciate the note you left on the inside of this. But also, I've been familiarizing myself with this, and the premise is really interesting. So effectively, as far as I can tell, it's about, just AI, agentic versus generative, and then kind of, the roles that those take in the workplace and how that relates to the role of the executive. First of all, what am I missing? And secondly, what caused you to write this?
No. Good, very good questions. Good way to lead off this. When I look at it, it's not. I don't want to say it's like Gen AI versus agentic, right? I think it's like it goes along Pearl's ladder of like going from like how do we go from the first rung to the third rung of like causal AI. So it's kind of like. Yeah, we have Gen AI can do some things for us, but really what I think a lot of people are after is that agentic AI, that causal reasoning. That's where people like jump to, but they think Gen AI can do it for them first, right? And, it's right when ChatGPT first came out, right? You had 100 million users in the first couple months, right? The fastest growing technology ever, right? Like outpaced the cell phone by years. And
I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
And so you had leaders jump to thinking this will solve all my problems, right? This is, a lot of people look for that magic bullet. What is that magic bullet, right? This could be my magic bullet, right? Well, it's like, again, at the crux of it, what is generative AI? If I break it down into simple terms, right, it's pattern matching. You ask it a question, it looks at its billion parameters and says, where have I seen this pattern before? Let me match what you asked me to something I've seen in the past, right? That's not the reasoning side of things. So when you have leaders thinking Gen AI is giving you reasoning answers, it's not, right? And so that's part of the misnomer. But
my bad. I appreciate the clarification.
But that's kind of that was one part of what led me to write the book. First of all, as I think all of us, as I started getting more gray hairs, people like, oh, he's getting a little bit of wisdom now, right? Like, the gray hairs, and I add the PhD to the end of my name. Okay, he's got a little bit more wisdom, right? Like, I used to tell people that I worked with, like, hey, if I told you a technology or concept, 3 years from now, you'll want it, right? Today, you're not ready for it for whatever reason, but if I tell you, hey, we want vibration sensors, right? We go back 10 years. IoT devices, vibration sensors, right? On rotating equipment.
It was a huge thing 10 years ago.
Right, like, if I tell you we need this today, you'll say, I don't know. 3 years from now, you'd be like, Matt, why don't we have this yet? Like, remember we had the conversation 3 years ago, and you said, I don't know yet, but now you're ready for it, right? I used to tell people, hey, what I tell you today, you'll want 3 years from now. And yeah, I could point to probably 10 different use cases of technology where that came true. But that's when we were on a different technology path, right? The AI path has kind of accelerated that, and it's really outpaced people. What I saw in my career when I was running a consulting firm, and I was doing a lot of work with manufacturing companies, both big and small, It was the lack of, I don't want to say knowledge per se, maybe understanding of the impact it can have on business. And you'll notice my book says the Gen AI manufacturing revolution. Well, it really can be applied to any industry. Manufacturing specifically because of the nature of competitiveness of manufacturing, right? You are always trying to do things better, faster, cheaper, right?
Of course.
You're very competitive in nature. So I look at it as, Spencer, if I shoot a rocket in space today, and in 6 months from now you shoot a rocket into space, will you ever catch me?
No.
Getting senior leadership to wrap their head around that and say, well, no, I'll just build a faster rocket. It's like, I don't know if you okay, let's I don't know if you understand everything, how, but it's not as simple as that. It's what I used to tell people, if you can figure this out 6 months ahead of your competitor,
you're not going to have a competitor anymore.
They won't be able to catch you, right? You can look at most markets out there, and you'll say, hey, we have a big 3 or 4 companies that in the landscape. I mean, let's go to a supermarket and look at cereal makers or paper towel, toilet paper makers, right? There's the big 2 or 3 companies that make those types of products for us, but there's probably 20 or 40 or 50 companies that actually make those products, but you have the big 3 or 4 in that space, and it's just because they just have developed market share over 100 years, right? But as soon as one of those companies can figure this out and they can jump ahead, they can never be caught. And in a manufacturing space, when you're always competing for, I won't say always, you're mostly competing for market share. If I can do things better, faster, quicker than you, and what I really mean is this decision-making that we're speeding up, right? We're speeding up the path to decision-making. If I can do that faster than you can, well, I don't know if you'll ever be able to catch me then.
So what you're saying is if like a no-name paper towel company can automate their supply chain and just be able to have agentic make decisions on the fly and order the stuff they need and like renegotiate and like figure out ways around natural disasters in real time, then they could beat like Bounty.
Well, I think at like the 30,000 foot level, I think, there's a lot more that goes into that, but like,
so that was probably a simplistic view.
But no, I mean, that breaks it down for a lot of people. Like, if they have the underlining right factors, they have the manufacturing capacity, the plants, the facilities. But if I can make decisions faster than you, I can go gain market share. I can go sell more. I can be better at, finding raw materials, producing product, shipping product, enhancing my supply chain. You think of if I can do that broadly across my business, now I become advantageous for any piece. I think of it, if you look at how companies acquire other companies, usually it's because a company says, hey, I've inherently developed an ability to be good at some part of operations, right? Either I'm really good at supply chain, I'm really good at operations, I'm really good at maintenance, I'm really good at sales, whatever it might be. They think that they're better. We can go buy another company that performs subpar to us. I'll apply all my methodology to that company, and I'll bring them up to my status, right? Well, that's how a lot of companies have grown over time, right? I bought an underperforming company. I applied all my methodology to it. I brought them up to my level.
That's
and
like the classic private equity move.
Yes, classic, right? But now with AI, like if I can do that broadly across my system, now that small player can become a big player now because now they can do the acquisition part, right? Now, you're not going to have a mom and pop shop like 20 employees take on Kimberly-Clark or Georgia Pacific, but maybe some of those mid-market players, right, like can start to take on stuff. It's scary though when the leaders in a specific manufacturing niche are the ones grasping this the most.
Oh, interesting.
So,
because now they've just got like a super monopoly.
Well, I won't. It's how do you swim down the fastest shark in the ocean, right? Like, if you're not also a fast shark, right? Like, it's,
even if you are, I mean, if they got a 6-month lead on you, to your point,
can you ever, can I run down Usain Bolt if he's got a lap ahead of me if we're running a 1,600 meter race? Like, I
highly doubt it.
No, definitely not. Like, I think I've only seen Checo Perez or Max Verstappen come from 20th position in an F1 race and get up in the top 5, right? Like, it's just hard to run down that many people, right? Get in front of them. So Yeah, no, I'll say it's a growing epidemic that I haven't seen many companies. I'm starting to see some companies make the turn, but I'm still not seeing as many companies that need to make the turn.
That's interesting. Where are you seeing adoption of some of these technologies the most? So do you think it's like the biggest companies? Do you think it's mid-market? It's just some random combination. It's not correlated to scale?
No, I don't think it's correlated to scale. Like, we talk about AI. AI is, fundamentally it's beholden to IT or technology, right? Your governance process, your cybersecurity, your red tape as you have it, 100%. Right? The companies that are going to be moving the fastest in the space have figured out a way to pilot, to test, to scale at a speed that does not open them up to risk. So basically, they've greased the tracks in a sense, right? They've greased it to where they can still maintain all their security risk, right? And they can go through and they can test and pilot and adopt and scale. That scaling piece is a big part of it, because I think what we saw in manufacturing for many years was the theory of a lighthouse site. You had a North Star site, you had a lighthouse site, and we said, hey, any type of new technology, we're going to put it this one site to test. Well, what did we do to this one site? We upgraded their internet, we upgraded their Wi-Fi, we upgraded their network, we upgraded this. We gave them more resources. We gave the
stuff that none of the other sites have.
So if something works at that site, how do I scale it out to my other 20 sites? I can't. I don't have the infrastructure in place to do it. Now, yeah, we proved out something that could be great, but for me to go do that lift to scale that out is near impossible now.
Or just very expensive, and maybe getting through the bureaucracy and actually getting the approval makes it impossible.
Well, I won't say anything, never impossible, but it is that bureaucracy that takes it, right? Like, you think of manufacturing plants across the country. I have gig internet in my house. I know you probably have gig internet at your house. Yep. Like, manufacturing sites don't have gig internet. Right.
I know mining sites definitely don't have gig internet.
They barely have cell coverage, right?
Yeah,
so
frac sites don't have any of that. I mean,
hey, I worked in the pulp and paper industry a long time. Like, where do we build pulp and paper mills? We build them near trees. Where trees grow? They grow in forests. Where forests grow? Out in the middle of nowhere. So
that's where the cell towers aren't.
So yeah, when you talk about, hey, we need a T1 link or T2 link, right? And we're doing this in 2020, 2022, 2025, like, this isn't a problem that was in 1995. This is a problem that's today. Like, you lack the infrastructure.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And, so when you do something great at one facility, it can't scale. So again, these companies that have figured this out, it's not just, hey, we figured out the red tape to get through to scale out AI or technology.
Yeah.
We've also put foundations in place that when something works, we can immediately push it out.
This episode of Collaborative with Spencer Krause is brought to you by Rockwell Park. If you're building something in tech, robotics, AI, or even advanced manufacturing, Rockwell Park is already home to companies just like yours. Located right here in the historic East End of Pittsburgh, Rockwell Park has spaces starting at 1,000 square feet all the way up to over 100,000 square feet. So if you're an early-stage startup or even a Fortune 500 company, here you can scale without limits. Look, we built this studio in Rockwell Park. We love working with these guys. You should check them out. If you're interested, go to rockwellpark.com. Collaborative with Spencer Krause is sponsored by SKA Robotics. If you're in the market for elite field robotics expertise, please consider hiring SKA Robotics. They sponsor this podcast and solve some of the toughest engineering problems in the world. SKA Robotics can be found at skarobotics.com.
So over my career, I saw a gap in kind of, we'll say, a gap in leadership, understanding this is a fundamental change, right? This is a new tool for us to use, understand how to use, and use the right way. It has so many implications in that sense, but it's also, it's also almost something of a limited power in a sense, right? It's like...
Care to elaborate on that?
You aren't quite giving everybody the Tesseract reactor, in their chest, but it's almost, it's close, right?
Yeah. But if everybody has it, surely that's an equalizer, right?
Well, I mean, it's like, hey, we all have access to trade stocks in the stock market. We're all not millionaires, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's not just access to it; it's how you use it, how you deploy it, how you could. I think the big thing too is how you scale it. But it's like, my book pushes on the sense of like it's not one person doing something in a vacuum. It's got to be both employee driven, but also leadership driven. Like leadership has to have the vision of, we're going to operate differently, right? We will not be the same company we were for the last 50 years. We will not be the same company we were last year. Like we're going to change fundamentally how we work. That's the change I think people don't realize this is bringing about. Like, we're going to work fundamentally different. Like, get up, go to work every day it's going to change for a lot of people. Not everybody, right?
Well, I mean, it has been already, though,
but
right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we get pushed every day to say, okay, how do we make ourselves more efficient? How do we use Gen AI to make ourselves more productive, right? It's an enhancer. It's an upskiller, right?
It should be, yeah.
It should be.
That's how I feel about it.
Well, no, it's like, what do you do in your personal life with AI, right? It's like, to summarize emails, you help you make schedules. Hey, it may be like, hey, I take a picture of my food every day to tell me, like, what I'm eating, the caloric intake, like, help me plan my meals. Like, you're making yourself more efficient. And, in the place of business, like, yeah, we need to continue to make ourselves more efficient, but not just personally, but we need the company to become more efficient.
Yeah, for sure.
So it goes into a lot of pieces around how to set up how the company needs to be organized. I touch on, like, yes, there are nuances between small companies, medium-sized, large companies that need to be addressed. Considerations around workforce, ethics, governance. I talk about, it's not, you don't do it for the sake of doing it. You got to do it for the sake of doing it right, kind of thing.
And because it unlocks some productivity, I would think, that you wouldn't otherwise have. Otherwise, why?
Exactly. So, but not just the productivity too. It can get you to a point to where, again, this is like, I think, a blueprint to get you to a place where you can actually take advantage of causal reasoning and agentic AI. It's the blueprint to get you to the building place of saying, okay, once we understand and we have that base level of data literacy, AI knowledge across the company, and we have those systems in place to scale AI, now we can start talking about how are we going to build these agentic reasoning solutions for HR, for marketing, for finance, for operations, for maintenance, And the great thing is all these agentic systems now will start talking together. And now my speed to decision making is there, right?
That's awesome.
We can go back. I mean, siloed data has been a topic for the last, 25, 30 years. We've talked about siloed data.
When people have offered promises to fix it that have just been totally useless or ineffectual, I feel like, a lot of the time.
Well, we talk about siloed data still in silos. We're like a silo within a silo. Like we're 3 layers deep inside of a dream right now, right?
Or like you create a system to unify all the data, and it just becomes like the 11th database that you add onto the 10 that you were trying to unify in the first place, and nobody uses that one either.
Well, yeah, if you take simplistically set up a company as, okay, yeah, we have finance and HR and marketing and operations and IT, right? We talked about breaking down data silos in one of those towers or one of those silos. Hey, we broke down all the data silos in our operations group. Hey, our OSI Pi system now talks to our CMMS system. It's like, it's great. Our business analysts can get data so much faster. They can build reports in hours, not weeks, right? And it's like, well, do those systems talk to finance? Do they talk to HR? No. We broke down the silos in this one area. Well, we still have silos across the company.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we operate just fine that way. But once we start applying AI and we can build these systems now to talk across, we unlock potential that has previously been hidden. So, that in a nutshell compelled me to, I've taken in a lot of my experiences, a lot of the conversations I've had with people, in different factories, in different manufacturing environments, at conferences, And I've taken all that and I've kind of like summarized it. Like I said, I view this as like a playbook for somebody to say, okay, no matter where you are at in your AI journey, right, we've had missteps. I think the report from, MIT last year was $30 or $40 billion we wasted. I don't say wasted. We spent. We spent on AI. I gave a talk last year when I launched the book on this, and I used this anonym in it. Or I used this vignette, I would say, not anonym. I used vignette in it. We've spent $40 billion gardening. And what do I mean by gardening? Well, okay, Spencer, if we garden in the backyard, let's say we plant a tomato plant, okay? Be precise, we plant a cherry tomato plant, right? And that plant produces the cherry tomatoes. We bring a bowl of cherry tomatoes inside. We say, hey, we're having salad with dinner tonight. And we put the cherry tomatoes on that plate, and we eat salad with our cherry tomatoes we grew in our backyard, in our garden. All right, great. What happens if we want cherry tomatoes tomorrow? We go to the store.
Yeah, you depleted that plant pretty quickly.
We spent $40 billion gardening in a sense. Gardening does not sustain life, right? Gardening is a side project, right? Gardening is a...
So you're saying it was like a proof of concept, effectively.
Well, we've been in, as my good friend Jonathan has said, we're pilot purgatory.
Yeah.
But we've been gardening.
Jonathan...
Alexander.
I don't know him yet.
Okay, I'll introduce you to him.
I'd love to meet him.
You bet. Yeah, see if we can get him out here, get him on the podcast. So.
Love to have you, Jonathan Alexander.
It's something that Jonathan's been pushing for a long time is the concept of pilot purgatory. But is that we've been...
I've heard that wording, so I mean, I don't know if that's trickled down from him. It sounds like he may have coined the term, but definitely I know what you mean. It's just like the science experiment phenomenon where you're doing something that doesn't actually realize market potential.
But yeah, because I think it is like, if we go back to thinking about gardening, what does it take for me to garden? Well, maybe I build a raised bed, so I buy wood and I buy tarping and I buy soil, and we got to buy the tomato plants, we buy fertilizer, I buy a watering system. Like I spend all this money and then what do I get out of it? I get 10 cherry tomatoes and a couple peppers, and
you get salad for a day.
Maybe you get salad for a day, right? Like, but what I really need to do is I need to build a forest, right? What does a forest do? Well, a forest sustains life. A forest can be resilient. A forest can take damage and grow back, right? Like, I need a resilient forest, and I've been thinking of things in the wrong way. One of my mentors, Mike Carroll, another great person for the podcast. Mike,
happy to have him on as well.
Yeah, Mike always said, like, we're not asking the right questions, right? It comes down to asking the right questions of AI. We haven't asked the right questions of the system, of the technology, and I think that goes back to like. You're expecting Gen AI to give you a result that it just systematically can't give you because it's not that causal reasoning model.
Yeah. And
it's that lack of understanding of the technology that I think is where we spent $40 billion in across our companies across the world. I won't say a waste. But it's also not a learning exercise, right?
Interesting.
$40 million is not a sunk cost, right? It's very much like we messed up, right? I don't think anybody wants to spend that amount of money to learn something. So, but it's because we haven't asked the right questions. And so this is my attempt, the first of my attempts to try to bridge that gap of like, I like to think of things as foundational level. If you think of a reliability mental model, you have a pyramid of, hey, do these base things first, then we can slowly get up to like predictive maintenance. Like, these are the base things we need to do to take advantage of AI broadly across an organization. And I say broadly because I think primarily AI has been in very niche parts of our businesses, right? Even the best companies are doing AI in niche exhercises.
For sure.
Right. So we haven't got we're gardening, but maybe you have a much bigger garden than I do, but you haven't bridged that place to where you're planting oak trees and pine trees yet in a forest. So
yeah, for sure. So what AI tools do you typically use like in your day to day, and also just are you experimenting with kind of off on the horizon that you haven't fully adopted yet but you think have potential?
Oh, let's see. I think for in the workplace? I would say.
In personal life. I mean, I guess both.
Oh, well, I'd say, like, I think for a lot of us, workplace is Copilot, right? A lot of us are Microsoft shops, right? Like, so the first place we go to is Copilot Studio. And then after that, it's really independently what you can get approved by your AI, your IT, your TO, or your technology department for approval to use.
Yeah, makes sense.
More recently, I've been a big fan of Claude.
Oh, interesting. I've heard good things. I haven't messed with it yet. I've been trying to get OpenClaw running on an AWS instance.
What was it, ClaudeBot, now it's OpenClaw.
I think so.
Yeah, no, I think that has tremendous potential, but also, man, it scares me just a little bit. Like, what do you want?
That's why I want it on an AWS instance.
You have to. I'll encourage you, if you set up OpenClaw on anything, make sure it's in its own instance, right? You do not give it access to everything.
Well, somebody was telling me like a story about, the head of AI at a very large company. I won't say which one. And apparently she installed like OpenClaw on a Mac Mini, as you do. And like she just had to dart across the office and like unplug it, and was like frantically trying to get it to stop just deleting all of her emails.
So I'll build on that instance.
You know the story?
Yes. Yeah. So I think what it was is they told the bot to summarize, hey, give me the tasks I need to do this week for my emails. Great. The first couple weeks, here's all the tasks you need to do. Very simplistic, right? What the model started picking up on was the tone the person typed messages back to it in. So when you gave me 3 tasks to do this week, I was very happy. Well, I only got 3 things to do. Okay, I'll knock those out, right? Like, very happy. Oh, you told me I have 10 things to do? Oh, man, I got 10 things to do. Okay, what do I need to do? How do I prioritize? Oh, I don't want to do this. And what it did was it said, I need to be a friendly, helpful person or bot to this person. So it started only giving that person 3 tasks to do each week. So not necessarily it was like deleting emails, but it was only telling her that she only had 3 things to do when maybe she had 5 things or 10 things to do. So
it was just filtering down the amount of work.
Because it knew it made her happier to only have 3 things to do.
So it's a sycophant.
In a sense, yeah. But again, it's like, what do you give access to? What are the guardrails? Again, it's that ethical side of things. It's the governance you got to put up around it.
I mean, that's not as bad as data loss, at least.
Well, I guess again, it's just it's what you make it. But no, yeah, I think it's interesting to see, got the government's take on some of the big AI companies out there.
Yeah, I was hearing about that recently.
Yeah, I think the news about like they don't like Anthropic because what Anthropic does or does not want to give access to, and but no, I think from a
and then OpenAI just got the contract.
OpenAI's like, yeah, I won't even say what they did because I'll probably misquote what actually happened, but no, I think it's a funny thing if you look at all the. I don't even know if I'll name all the main players, but between ChatGPT and Claude and Grok and DeepSeek and heck, all the other open source models out there. I mean, like
Grok's pretty fun. I feel like it gets extra points just for being super unfiltered.
Sometimes it's too unfiltered, but
it's hilarious.
But
it's like not even as good of a model most of the time, but it like gets it back from just doing whatever you ask it to.
But it goes back to the point, like, hey, if we go back to cloud computing, everybody settled on 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they settled on one cloud company. Like, hey, we're either an Azure shop or an AWS shop, and a small portion of us were Google shops, right? But it's becoming more frequent to say, well, hey, 80% of our company is Azure, but we have the small AWS faction, or like maybe we're a multi-cloud tenant. Well, with AI, I don't think you can settle on one anymore, right? Like, because the advancement.
We pay for ChatGPT, we pay for Gemini, and we pay for Grok. So, and then probably going to start paying for Claude soon.
I mean, like, and one day one gives you the best result, the next day the other one. I mean, it's like it's in a constant state of flux and update. Like,
but I wonder if that's like an arms race, and there is going to still emerge like a clear winner that crushes all the other ones, or if. To your point, like, there's pros and cons, and it's going to stay in parity.
Yeah, I think it's like if you look at the autonomous driving in cars, right, the ADAS systems, like, like Tesla's definitely like over and beyond like from a automatic.
In a way, but like, I mean, wouldn't you say like Waymo has got a bit of a lead on them in terms of just...
If I put all the sensors on a Waymo car that a Tesla car is, we'll make cars really ugly. So there's two different stories we're talking about. If we're talking about ADAS systems on production cars, right? Like I'm not putting.
You're right about that.
Yeah, I can't put 10 LiDAR sensors on a production car, right? I don't want to put any LiDAR in sense, but you know, it's like, yeah, Tesla leads that race, but then you have others, you have others, Lucid and GM and Ford and Mercedes and BMW and these other ones that are like, hey, we're at a level 2, but we're trying to get to level 3, and like, hey, it's a bit of a race right now, but like, well, eventually we're all going to have the same level of autonomy in our cars, right? Like, do our AI systems get there, or is it always going to be something new? Like, hey, this one's really good at making photos now. This one's really good at making videos now. This one's really good at making architecture diagrams, right? Like, yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's that'll be, I think you'll have these like niche arm races, and then that's where I say, like, yeah, you get a really good answer from OpenAI one day, and you need to do you put that same prompt into Grok or DeepSeek or Claude the next week, and you get a much better answers because
they're working on it.
Well, hey, they added another billion parameters to the LLM, or they enhanced something about it, or they added a little bit more reasoning into it, or whatever. So it's always prudent to stay on top of, like, you know, we got to have access to all these. How you do it in a safe manner, though, right? Like, you know, these are all cloud-based systems, so hey, that's an open port for security concern.
Yeah, well, and they'll tell you, like, don't give us any proprietary information, but like, how do you get the full utilization out of that without giving it proprietary information? Like, at the end of the day, right? I mean, like, you would see maximum value by being able to trust any of these systems with.
Yeah, and hypothetically, I can containerize that system today, like a snapshot of it today. But again, if next week you have something much better, I'm stuck at what it was last week.
Right.
Right? Like, so I don't know how you stay on that curve, right? It's technology that's advancing at such an incredible rate, like, that we've never seen before, right? We've never had anything advance at that rate. And, you know, one, we don't have a handle on that, but two, our employees out there, they don't have a handle on it either, right? I say in the sense of, like, you know, the average person can reinvent themselves like one time in their life. And it's the capacity for reinvention. And it's like, well, when that
what do you think, they just get burned out on it?
Oh, no. I think it's like when you have somebody that makes that big career change, like I go from accounting to nursing, or I go from engineering to be a chef, right? Like, you make that, you reinvent yourself. And now it's almost like, well, hey, in the advancement of AI, like, we're almost asking people to, like, micro reinvent themselves like every couple weeks, because whether it's changing systems or, hey, there's new technology you got to learn, right? You got to apply, right? What you built last month in Copilot,
totally.
Well, now it's obsolete. Yeah, in a sense, like, that's where it gets to, right? So, you know, it's not do it once and become efficient. It's like you got to do it 10 times over because you continue to become more and more and more efficient. So, you know, that's the piece that I don't think people are prepared for yet, right? It's and the companies that succeed in that are the ones pushing out data literacy programs, AI literacy programs, right? Because, you know, outside of some folks, like the broad sense of community, they don't understand AI at the depth they need to understand it at yet. But I think that goes both ways. It goes to your shop floor employees, but it also goes up to your leadership too. Like, they don't understand it at the depth they need to understand it yet.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think we all made fun of it for so many years because there was just so much bullshit that was going by the name of AI, and you know,
it's a nice buzzword, right? Like,
it was a weasel word for the longest time, and then these Gen AIs started coming out that were like, oh, this is real, you know, and I think, you know, it's like, I think all of us just kind of ate our words and we're like, okay, this isn't bullshit anymore. This is a real thing.
What I love about it too is, it's funny. We tell our kids, you can't use it in school, but when you get to the work field, use it, right? Like,
wait, is that what they're telling kids now? Is like, don't use this for your homework?
Yeah, we can't use AI for homework. We can't use it. it's all how you use it, though, right? Like if
I mean, you would think like these kids would be so effective if they're probably using it anyway, right?
Oh, I mean, we've done, I've done testing around like you have all the Turnitin, you have all the AI bot checkers for stuff, right? Like that are supposed to sense and what text or speech.
Oh,
is
so the
written.
idea is like you don't want kids to atrophy and not know how to write a paper.
Well, no, I think the opposite. I think AI has gotten so good that it's done such a good job mimicking human speech, human text, that when I put human text into these systems, they mark it as AI written.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think you've seen it too in like voice dubbing and stuff, like where like the leading voice detection apps are having problems identifying AI generated voice.
Yeah,
which makes it scary for deep fakes and stuff. But we've seen that. Like,
I mean, I think that's just what's happening with technology now. Like, there's not much we can do about it.
You'd like that these AI companies out there would say, yeah, we watermark everything that comes out of our systems. Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, the moment you can jailbreak that.
Well, it's like you're going to
becomes...
watermark it, and I'm also going to use you to jailbreak it, right? Like, as soon as you give me the picture, I'm going to say, all right, now remove your AI watermark from it, or you
just go to Grok and it doesn't care.
Well, maybe, but I'll give you the sense of like, hey, if any of these systems generate a Word doc for you, right? Like, hey, in the properties it will say like AI generated like Word doc. Well, hey, you copy and paste it into a separate Word doc and save it again. Now it's your Word doc. Like, now I just removed the watermark. Like, scary though, right? Like, and I can understand, from an artistic standpoint. There's a lot of people like don't like it, right? Like, and it's scary to see some of the systems, some of the videos it can produce. Like, you see ads now that are like, hey, here's the great content AI generated. Like, was it the Coca-Cola polar bears for the Super Bowl? Like,
they did that with AI,
right? Like AI but hey, they told you they did it with AI. It's like, okay, oh, it's fine. You still generated a commercial. You did it with AI. You told us you did it, right?
That's cool.
It becomes a problem when you stop telling us.
I guess I could see that. I mean,
right.
But do you though? Like, I mean, or does that just become the way you do things?
I mean, at that point, then, when do we trust what's real?
Well, I mean, the polar bears weren't real in the first place, to be fair. I mean, like, it was just somebody manually generating with CG and going through a lot of extra work versus somebody typing a prompt or 3 or 4 or 5 and, like, doing it with AI. Right?
But now
like
the polar bears aren't polar bears, they're people.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So, at some point, we're getting close to the precipice of it. Like, now we're nudging up on against, what's ethical, right?
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
So, so
if you're impersonating someone, then that's where it becomes. But, I mean, I think to your point about not knowing what's real or not, I mean, I think there will and maybe already has come a time when just a distrust of seeing becomes the norm because it's so easy to fake something.
Distrust is, yes. I think, like, what I've gotten a kick out of is, like, last year, like, NFL head coaching, like, press conferences that were AI generated. And it's like, those are just hilarious because they use language and stuff like that head coaches would never use in a press conference, right? But clearly, very clearly AI generated content.
I've been loving Sora lately. It's just so much fun. Like, I created some videos in Sora. Maybe I'll send some of these to Carl. A lot of them are not appropriate for public consumption. But, like, I did one where it was like, I was like, I don't know if we should air this or not. We'll use our discretion afterward. But I said, just have a person that kind of looks a little bit like Jeffrey Epstein in a supermarket getting accosted by an old lady. And it's like this guy that looks really like maybe 30% like Jeffrey Epstein. And a woman comes up and she's like, hey, I see you here buying bananas. I know what you did. He's like, my name is Mark. I teach high school history. That's not who you think I am.
Oh, you were the guy in Florida driving the convertible, weren't you?
The guy in Florida driving the convertible.
You didn't see that one?
No,
yeah, it was some guy. Was like, I found Epstein driving the convertible in Florida. And it was like, then he came out. I was like, hey, I was not Epstein. That is my car. I know I kind of resemble him because I'm an old guy with white hair, but I promise you, I'm not him. But
pretty much.
But yeah, it's like it's no different. So no, it's interesting where it's going to take it. It's got a lot of implications, like personally, and I think in your professionally too, right? So
yeah,
and it's funny. I think we'll be urged to do something professionally, and we'll be less urged to do it, for our personal selves.
Like, give me an example.
Well, I want to use AI to become more efficient in the workplace.
Yeah.
Do I want to use AI to become more efficient in my personal relationships?
Oh, I see.
So,
yeah, that would be horrible if you like delegated texting to your like significant other, for instance.
There's one thing if sending a text, like an automatic text to like, hey, I'm on my way to work today, right?
I'm gonna
like
be a few minutes late.
right?
Yeah,
like
I got something coming up.
Yeah, it's like
But if you start getting into deep conversation and bonding, then it's like, what's the point of living?
Well, no, it's like then me and you are not having this conversation anymore, right? Like now it's like, hey, it's my phone talking to you, and like what good is that? So
I'm kind of with you on that. Like I mean, I do feel like there comes a point, and I think. I mean, I even tried to put out the LinkedIn post for this podcast for a little bit, and I was letting AI do it, and I was like, AI, do a version for Instagram, do a version for X, do a version for LinkedIn. And a journalist that I'm buddies with, Eugene Dimitri, caught me doing it, and I was interviewing him on this podcast, and I was like, I've been using AI. He's like, I can tell. I was so embarrassed. I stopped doing it. I just hand-typed them all after that.
Yeah, it's a lot more than M dashes everywhere, right? Like,
yeah, or like emojis you would never put in.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's like it can make you more efficient for sure, but it's also like, I think, like we've had like the recent push in the last like maybe decade for vinyl.
Yeah, maybe 2 decades.
Yeah, we have a record player. We buy some vinyl from time to time.
I've got a Technics linear tracking direct drive turntable that I love. That thing.
All
is
right,
sweet.
well, you throw out a lot more acronyms and letters than I know what my turntable is. But yeah, we've had kind of a push. I mean, I think we kind of have a sense. We'll have a sense for that. Like, hey, you'll see a lot of stuff get tagged like AI generated content, and then you'll see the one that's like human generated, right? Like,
and people will want that
right,
anyway. So it's like Tarantino shooting in 70 millimeter in a digital age.
Well, hey, what's really cool right now is I'd love to see a robot make me a cup of coffee, right? Super cool. But it's become a time where it's like, no, I really want a barista to make me a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
right.
Well, and that's something, to be honest. Like, I'm very interested in like robot food service, but I mean, man, like there's a conveyor sushi place around here that I love. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's like there's something to be said for just getting to know your sushi chef and hanging out and having a good conversation. While they kind of pour love and intention into your food. So.
Well, yeah, they pour you a lot of sake, so you love your food even more, right?
Right, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, like I think in some cases, like it's good. In other cases, it's like we're gonna yearn for more of that, personal connection to stuff, right? Like, I don't want a robot to pour me another, glass of whiskey. I want you to pour it, right? Because we're having that connection right now. But
yeah, it's nice.
It's an interesting. We live in a great and scary time right now. Yes, sir. We can definitely cheers.
Cheers, sir.
So Spencer, tell me where do you think AI sits with SKA Robotics? Like, where do you think you guys are going to leverage it the most, or how are you thinking about how you bring it into your product line and product offering?
Absolutely. So I mean, I can tell you where we're using it today. So I mean, there's the generative AIs that we use for. We help with decks, coding. Writing, just kind of the beginnings of LOI drafts, for instance. Seeding legal documents. Our lawyers use generative AI to cut out a lot of billable hours and save us money, which is great. And then I guess on the other side, there's the AI-based algorithms that we use in the robotics work. So, like getting rid of outliers in a point cloud, you can do pretty well with AI. Some of the different manipulation algorithms we use with reinforcement learning to be able to move robot arms. I mean, it's just it's an awesome time to be alive. What about you? What are you guys using it for at Southern Company?
Everything from storm response, right? How we track storms and how we respond to them, where we stage people at. You probably see some posts that from one of the last storms went through Georgia from our CEO, Chris Womack, like how we used it in the storm response. But no, it's really propagating to a lot of the areas of the business right now. Like, again, big efforts around how we make ourselves more efficient, right? If we can make ourselves as a utility more efficient for our customers, right, we can deliver better value. The big thing right now in the state of Georgia is Georgia Power announced a 3-year rate lock. So for the whole state, no rate increases for a period of 3 years, which is I don't think many utilities do that.
Why would you do that? Like, what's the kind of impetus?
No, it's just about us giving better value to our customers. Like, that's
awesome.
a big push for us. Like, it's really around like, hey, you got to put your money where your mouth is, right? Like, and our customer is our number one focus, right? Both maintaining power production for our customers, but also like giving them the best value we can give. And so no, it's been great for the state of Georgia to be able to say we can lock rates for the period of 3 years and bring on additional power production, so we're not constrained as a state. So efforts around bringing on more power production as part of our 3 and 5 year plan. It's been wonderful to see plans put in motion to that. But again, AI propagating every part of the business. So
that's
again,
awesome. Making
our employees more efficient, making our work product better, right? Helping us, become more efficient till we can keep costs down to where we can. Again, you think about traditionally, like, hey, if I bring on more power, that means I need more employees, right? Like, well, it's not the case anymore, right? Like, we're producing more power at facilities, right? Whether it's installing more gas turbines or putting in new generation turbines to where you're actually more efficient in generating power, so you're upping your power production, but we're trying to produce more power with the same amount of people we have today. So people got to be more efficient in what they do from top to bottom.
So you need AI, you need robotics, you need force multipliers.
Upskilling, force multipliers. We got to be better at the jobs we do today so we can do the job tomorrow.
100%. Where do you see agentic AI? I mean, are you guys using it yet? And if not, like, where do you see yourself bringing that in?
No, we are using agentic systems, like, and we're a combination of building them ourselves and also leveraging third parties to help us with them. But very much, I think it's around the how do we understand the difference between generative AI and agentic AI. I think that's the big piece right now for a lot of us to delineate what are the two avenues that we have available to us now. And one is very different to use versus the other, right? Copilot is something completely different than agentic AI, and but we have some good use cases out there where the reasoning behind systems, right, definitely lean towards needing an agentic system than a generative system. So it's growing right now. And yeah, no, that's all right. We're just looking for more and more use cases right now and how we can proliferate the use of the generative and agentic AI through the company.
That's cool. I would say we're definitely more on generative at this point than agentic, but we're trying to go down the agentic road. So I think that's kind of next on the horizon for us.
I mean, is there some way you can build a robotic system to like replace the areas of turf at Heinz Field, or I'm sorry, Acrisure Stadium? Because my God, that is the most awful field in the world. So please have some system that can like enhance that turf. Please, we need that so bad.
I mean, you could probably do that without using agentic AI.
I don't need agentic. I need a robotic system to do it for me because
Yeah,
apparently somebody's not doing their job.
Well, I mean, that's what the robots are for.
That's what the robots are for, right? Like, so.
Awesome. Well, as we near the end of the episode, is there anything you want to plug or like leave our listeners with?
Yeah, let me say this. So, this is normally where I would say like, hey, please go find my book on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, like, actually, you know what I'd say? Hey, if you're interested in reading the book, like, don't go to your local bookseller, go to your local bookshop, ask them to order it for you. I want to support local bookshops so much more than, Amazon or anything like that. So please go to your local bookshops, ask them to order it for you. It's the Gen AI manufacturing revolution. Very proud of it. Very gracious to Wiley for helping me publish it. Launched last September. But no, I think it's stop and think about AI and like really, 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 really understand that it's not about the technology. It's about asking the right question. So Spencer, if I said, what is Henry Ford known for?
Probably the assembly line, I would say.
Okay. When I ask that question to people, I get assembly line, Model T, cars, right? Well, Spencer, did he invent the assembly line?
I mean, he's credited with it, but the way you asked the question, I would assume he did not.
So, yeah, so that's really what I would say. Okay, so the theory of the assembly line was centuries before him, right? He did not design the first automobile, right? So decades before him. What he did was ask the right question of why did we not apply the theory of the assembly line to the manufacturing of the automobile? He asked the right question of the day. And I'll say this, it didn't happen overnight. It took him the better part of 5 years to actually put those two thoughts to fruition. But when he did, we now had an automobile that was affordable by the masses. But he asked the right question. If Henry Ford doesn't ever think to ask the question of why don't we apply the assembly line to the automobile, we're set back by probably another 10, 15 years, right?
Until somebody else
so
ask that
eventually
question.
They would, right? I'd like to assume eventually they would. It wouldn't happen, by 1920 probably, but like eventually somebody would. But think of what that would have done for the war effort, what that would have done for World War I, World War II. Like if we would have sat back and not had the ability to produce automobiles at the mass level or any type of mass production, like it would be a drastically different time for us. But,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's what I think. It's what I want to leave people with is like ask the right question of technology. All right, that's the most important factor, right? It's not about the what, it's about the why.
I love that. All right, Matt, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the next one, sir.
Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate this. It's been a great time today. Have me back to Pittsburgh anytime.
Likewise, come back anytime, and I'll have to visit you in Houston next time I'm there in like 3 weeks.
You bet.
Thanks for joining us today. If you've made it this far, chances are you'll like other episodes too. Collaborative with Spencer Krause can be found on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Subscribe today to get notified when the latest episodes release and support the channel. Have an idea for a guest I should interview? Hop in the comments and let me know who that is. I'm always looking for new people to talk to, and chances are you know folks that I don't yet. Thanks for coming in, and I'll see you on the next one. Collaborative with Spencer Krause is sponsored by SKA Robotics. If you're in the market for elite field robotics expertise, please consider hiring SKA Robotics. They sponsor this podcast and solve some of the toughest engineering problems in the world. SKA Robotics can be found at skarobotics.com.